That's our ship. Embassy Preciosa. We're here in Hamburg, Germany.
Welcome. Oh, yeah, I heard you were already awake. Yes, so first and foremost, welcome to the beautiful city of Hamburg. And as we say here in the city, moin moin.
Moin moin.
I love they all shout it before they even know what it means. So moin, it actually comes from our dialect of German, originally moin Tag. It means beautiful day. So when you say hello in Hamburg, what you're actually saying is beautiful, beautiful. Moin moin.
Moin moin.
Good, they're all awake. Feels so far away that we say in Italy. So we're crossing back into the north of Hamburg, where we live, where most of the inhabitants of Hamburg live today. Space, and many believe it to be a public museum because of its size. Of course, coming from London, you'll know where to put them. The idea came about to actually create a museum, and that's how the museum came to be. It is, in fact, however, a private museum. In Hamburg, a storage house. This was part of Hamburg's docklands, and this is something we have throughout a lot of the district, that we have many warehouses which have now been repurposed for museums, for hotels, restaurants. A total of 1.4 kilometers long, filled with hundreds and hundreds of these different storage buildings. Crisscross through it, accompanied by these beautiful bridges. Hamburg is a city known for its bridges. Hamburg being the city in the world, St. Catherine, this beautiful church in our traditional material brick. You will see the church towers popping out along the city, and these were often used through much of Hamburg's history to demark the different districts of Hamburg. Hamburg is now, however, if we look up above at the building, you'll see this huge glass structure. This is where the concert hall is housed today, and this is of course the new addition to the building. That means that this building is really the embodiment of the district, the old red brick of the warehouse, and up above the new shiny glass, a spectacle in and of itself. In between the warehouses, this is often known as the town hall of the storage city, of the warehouse district. This is the headquarters of the Halle, who still owns and rents out all of the buildings. To your right hand side, you are getting a look at one of the smaller waterways of the River Elbe. This one is known specifically as the Zollkanal, the tax canal. That is because the warehouse district was actually formerly separated from the city of Hamburg, it being a tax-free zone. So over where we are now, people hand side, this is the headquarters of Zeit. This is the Times here in Germany, and also one of the big publishing houses here, being one of Germany's. We don't make any stop from the Pyrenees to Santiago. I think if we were looking at Hamburg, realistically, something probably about 80 to 90 days, considering you don't take a day off. Classical building in white. This is the Museum of Art and Industry, one of Hamburg's largest and more unusual museums. Of course, the name telling you what's inside, art and industry. Many of the items inside are both simultaneously industrial objects with, however, artistic elements as well. On the right hand side, and this building was completed in 1906. Of course, it was also heavily destroyed in the Second World War and partially rebuilt. It is a quite ornate building. However, many of the towers have actually disappeared after the war. Many of them wouldn't be replaced. The town hall originally had a lot more towers and turrets, many of them being drawn into the plans by the Emperor Wilhelm himself. If we look to the top of the town hall, you can see the globus, a man holding a globe above his head. This, of course, representing Hamburg as a world trading port, which it still remains as. Together make up one structure, which we know here in the city as the Kunsthalle. This means, of course, the art halls. It is our main art in the city, showing everything from early Christian art from the church, a ruin from the Second World War, which we'll also see later on today. This is one of the most famous views you will see of the city, of course, embodying the water of Hamburg, the beautiful buildings of the inner city, and the boats themselves. You can see along the Alster the white boats lined up, which now is the center of Hamburg and has become one of our famous villa districts. Hamburg is quite famous for the villa districts today, being a very prosperous city. Hamburg is a city where we have more million and billionaires living than anywhere else in the country. So I always say to my guests, if you're here looking for a sugar mama or a sugar daddy, you're in the right place. Just ask around. And Hamburg is actually the embassy capital of the world. Over 130 embassies in Hamburg. Why do we have so many of them? Well, you probably heard for a long time, Germany was divided into East and West. And the capital of West Germany was actually a much smaller city known as Bonn. And Bonn, that's where the embassies were, because that was the German capital. The issue was, for a lot of the countries, let's think about somewhere like Britain, where were many of their citizens living? They weren't actually in Bonn. So what a lot of the countries decided to do was, their official embassy was in Bonn, but they would build very large Good news is, we get to sit in the warm bus and look at them, and we don't have to join them on the water. I myself also enjoy spending time out on the water, but I'm here more so in the summer months. Of course, in more recent years now, not everybody needs a rowing boat or a sailing boat on the River Alster. The subs, the stand-up paddles, have become extremely popular, which has kind of democratized the River Alster, meaning that now everybody can park landscapes. Not only this, however, Hamburg streets are lined with many trees and smaller green spaces. This offers many recreational activities here in the city. Here you need to let out, you need to curse and cuss at myself and Stephanie and not at the swans, because for the swans you can land in prison for up to 6 months for verbally abusing them. If you now take a look to your right hand side, we are going over the Kuhkoppelbrücke, and this is where you get really one of these beautiful views right in towards the city of center of Hamburg, and you start to get an idea for the expanse of kingdom, but sometimes not as famous as some of the other German cities, and is sometimes perceived as being relatively small. Hamburg is in fact the second largest city in all of Germany, only after the capital Berlin itself. The city of Hamburg has a population of close to 2 million people, which, as we know by European standards,
But if you forget, don't worry, it's always written here, in case I forget it. So push your thumbs with me that it will happen again. No. Now I'm gonna have a picture where they're like, why is the group so angry at this guy?
we're having here in this region our winters of
Oh my gosh, it's snowing in Hamburg.
And St. George, of course, is named after the patron saint of the oldest church in this area, along with the rest of the district. But St. George today is a very unusual district here in Hamburg. It is definitely a district where different worlds collide in one place, because it is simultaneously known as the LGBTQ plus part of the city. So you will see a lot of rainbow flags throughout all of St. Georg. You'll also see a lot of gay, lesbian bars throughout the district. But Simultaneously, just one street over, we have station once more, this time from the other side. And I heard from a little bit in the back rows there was a question about, are the stores open here on Sunday? Maybe you've been looking around and you'll see cafes and restaurants. Many of them are open, some are closed. Most of the retail stores throughout the city will of course be closed. And that's because traditionally Hamburg, as a Lutheran city, had laws and still has laws to this very day that all. And this is the Meckenbergstraße, or the Monk Street, named after one of our former mayors. And this street, as I said, is well known for its shopping. Hamburg, of course, has several areas where you can go shopping. This here is an area where you would have a mix of some boutiques and smaller stores, but also a lot of the big names you'd know from all around the world. We do have other streets in the district. For example, we have streets that are known simply for their luxury products, where the only stores you'll find on them are Chanel, Cartier, Dior, Montblanc, so on and so forth. This area is a little bit more mixed, so you can really think of it as our high street shopping. It's also quite a scenic area, with many trees along the street and also beautiful older buildings. For example,
Open 24 hours.
24 hours.
No, I think you should. People must have a rest day, a family day. It's important.
What we would more commonly know in English as City Hall. Very good. One person did their homework. Shame on the rest of them. So this is our town hall, our city hall, and so I don't know, wait till the open room comes in. That means that a lot of what we see today is cheaper, and you can see that in the city because you often see old buildings and then
see along the street many different establishments, but what you see quite a lot is bars, restaurants, and you see a lot of places with neon lights. Some of them are theaters. For example, coming up on the left hand side you can see the stage Operettenhaus. This is where we have musicals held. It's not off the Erotica Boutique Bazaar. This is one of the famous sex shops we have here in the district. And to the left hand side you can see a large Alright, so if you want to get a quick look at the Indra as we turn by, it is the red bar located on the right hand side that you can see there. And as you can see where the Beatles began, it was not the largest, most prestigious location. It was a little bit off the beaten track. The guys, they started to get a little bit of fame there, and that's how they ended up making the jump across to the main party street. The last place they played in Hamburg was a club known as the Star Club, and while they were there they got the offer to return to the United Kingdom and to record their first album, and this would make them international stars. The Beatles would return to Hamburg one more time in 1966 to play 2 weekends of concerts, and that's when we got the famous quote from John Lennon, which you'll still see on our airport today: "We were born in Liverpool, but we grew up in Hamburg." And you can really see the guys and their influence, or the influence of this city on their time, if you look at photos of them from when they arrive and when they leave, or if you listen to their music from that time period as well. It definitely is a city which was an important chapter in their road to fame. Hall, and the fish fish market. This is still a tradition in Hamburg to this very day. Every Sunday, the fish market begins at 5 a.m. in the summer months, 7 a.m. in the winter months. This began as a fish market, but today has evolved. Of course, it's still a fish market with lots of fish and snacks. But when you look to the right-hand side, in the old auction hall that you can see there on the waterfront with the domed roof, if you go in there Sunday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, you will find a live rock and roll band. You will also find a small beer hall, and that means all the people who were out in St. Pauli all night and should now go home, they go for their breakfast with a beer at the fish market. So you get an unusual mix of people. You get like little old ladies who went to do some shopping, you get locals, you get tourists, and you get the overflow from the party district. And this is a quintessential Hamburg experience. The harbour, as we can see when we look out to our right hand side, is a huge point of how the city looks and feels. That is, you know, a little bit my own opinion, but if you go to many harbour cities in the world, what you'll never find is a harbour. Go to New York, the harbour's in New Jersey. Go to San Francisco, the harbour's in Oakland. Go to all these harbour cities, and at some point they push the harbour way outside of town. Hamburg's harbour is still directly in the city centre, and that's why I say we are this true harbour city with this feel, with this look of a harbour still in the city centre today. And you can really feel that, especially in the part of town where you are. We are now going to go and take a little bit of a stop, and this will be our last station to get out on the tour for today. And what we're going to do is we're going to get you guys out with the groups. Me and Stephanie are going to show you just one or two little things, and then we're going to give you about 30 minutes of free time. The free time is because some of you were asking about maybe getting a snack, something to eat. There's also...
It's a little...
I'm only joking, by the way. Beneath the ground, and it goes underneath the river. The river is actually up above us here. And when this was built in 1911, this was considered a modern wonder of the world. You see, like I told you, most people in Hamburg still today live on this side of the river, but most of our industry is over.